I would like to start with a poem. And an alma mater is not just a place we leave behind. It lives in our heart, in spirit, in mind. No matter how far our journeys may go, its roots gives us strength. Its light make us grow. Welcome, sir. Our distinguished alumnus today has a professional journey spanning 25 years across the global technology landscape. From his early beginnings at Tech Mahindra to spending over 2 decades at SAP leading global product and engineering initiatives, and now serving as managing director at Accenture Germany, his career is a shining example of consistent growth, leadership, and impact. But what makes this moment truly special is not just his professional achievements. It is the fact that he is one of our very own. Mr. Sundar from the CSE batch 1996 to 2000 once sat in these same classrooms, walked the same pathways, and dreamt the same dreams that we are dreaming as students. They say alumni are not just graduates of an institution, they are the living bridges between the past, present, and future. And today, as one of these shining bridges returns to his alma mater, we are reminded of the power of the roots and pride of the belonging. And today, seeing one of our own return with such pride and honor, we are reminded that the legacy of our college is carried forward by its alumni. So, with hearts full of respect and joy, let's welcome back to his home our own alumni, Mr. Sundar.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sahajdeep. Thanks also, Dr. Saab. I mean, I cannot call him by name even though he's my batchmate in front of the students, right? You addressed me, Sahaj, as Mr. Sundar. So I want to start with a small funny story because also when we were having our briefing call, you were kindly asking me, sir, how do I call your name? Your name is too long, right? The story of the name Sundar was born when I joined the NIT or REC Jalandhar, way back in 1996. Very similar experience. Most of my friends who joined along with me were struggling to tell my name in the full form, that is Sundaresan, which is, of course, a very typical South Indian name. And then I said, let's make it simple. And I cut short my long name of Sundaresan to Sundar, and my name was actually born when I joined. In the shorter version of the name was born when I joined REC Jalandhar, right, or NIT Jalandhar now. But as the college would have it, I started getting a lot of jokes for that name because कुछ लोग तो आके बोलते थे सुंदर, your parents have done a very good job. मैं बोला क्यों, क्या हुआ यार? तो they would say तू तो सुंदर नहीं है, कम से कम तेरा नाम तो सुंदर है. So Sastrekal, my Punjabi starts and ends there. Thanks a lot for having me on this call. It's my honor, right? It's whenever I think about NIT Jalandhar, my heart, swells with a lot of pride, and I am what I am today. Significant part of that goes to the great college that I am from, right? And along with that, I'm only able to think about a lot of beautiful stories that college gave me as a memory. And along with that, if I can contribute to our college in any which way, I'm more than happy and delighted to do so, right? So, Sahaj, if you allow me, I would like to share a presentation and, walk through what I wanted to actually discuss or present to all of you, right? So just give me a second. Let me bring up. So, Sahaj, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so I assume online audience are all able to see it. So students, what am I going to do in the next few minutes? Yeah, other than boring you to death and possibly putting you to sleep as well, which hopefully I'm trying to avoid and don't do that. Um, as Sahaj was saying, I have been out in the corporate world now for 25 plus years. Of course, I passed out in the year 2000. Um, Most of you, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you have joined the call. A significant portion of you will, after your PhD or MTech or BTech, of course, would come and join the corporate world, right? I mean, I wish many of you also have aspirations to become, of course, entrepreneurs. I wish you all the good luck. But in by and large, most of you would end up in corporate, right? So what I want to walk you through is, what does it take to have a long run in corporate? Yeah, when I say long run, most of you are in early 20s. If you're finishing up your university, or maybe even late teens, once you start your career for the next 40 odd years, you would actually be in corporate, or of course, whatever you are doing till you start to think about potentially your next phase of life. And that's of course a very long run, right? I'm not going to give a lecture or a preach, here. I'm going to try and tell some short stories based on my own journey, my experiences, and of course also having seen great leaders and mentors around me, with which you might be able to take away something and then build your own story out of this and be successful in every path of your life that's coming ahead of you, right? So that's my intention. With that, let me go into some of the high level key storyline that I wanted to share, right? So, my first, I mean, so with this slide, I don't intend to talk about bodybuilding, yeah. So, but my intention is to talk about uh, what do you, I guess you might have all heard the name Vishal Sikka, right? Vishal Sikka was um, SAP's ex-board member. Later, he went on to become ex-CEO of Infosys. I'm sure you might have heard his name. I mean, he's not anymore with Infosys, but he was the CEO a few years back. I had the great privilege of working with him, right? So he would walk up to me quite often and say, Sundar, we need to build individuals who are T-shaped. This was pretty early in my career, right? So, and then I was wondering, what is he actually talking about? It took me some iteration with him and others to understand what he's referring to. He's basically referring to somebody with really in-depth knowledge of the field that he or she is in. After becoming really an expert, they also start to expand themselves into broader horizon. Now let me elaborate a bit more, right? Most of you will start in some role in corporate world, right? I mean, I think this is very relevant for the next 7 to 10 years of your career, right? You would start as maybe a application engineer or test engineer, or whichever field you're going in, you're going to start in some small piece of the overall business. You please focus on becoming an expert, gain really in-depth knowledge in the first 7 to 10 years. Yeah, you need to get a deep root of whatever you are trying to learn and do. In my case, with that guidance from Vishal, I was focusing on really understanding how SAP business applications, how the engineering of those solutions, and how the delivery of those solutions happen, right? Now, with that base and a deep understanding of how that element works, then you can expand into other roles like project management, leadership, and so on and so forth. This will all come. But the first few years, I mean, again, I'm not prescribing it has to be 7, 10, 5. It all depends on what you all start to do. But the first few years becomes very formative years of your career. Once you spend a meaningful time understanding in depth, you can expand into other things. And of course, I want to draw parallel. I'm an Indian. I'm a big fan of cricket. Now that India won Asia Cup, I have to refer to cricket as well. It is like clearly understanding whether you want to be a batsman, you want to be a bowler, or an all rounder. have a very, very good understanding and in-depth expertise of that skill before you become a team captain. Right now, of course, Gill became captain earlier. Rohit Sharma became much later, but that's all situational, individual capabilities, and all the other factors. But the most important piece of element that I want to share here is focus on building in-depth understanding before you start to go broad. But of course, also expanding and becoming broader is very important, because in the long run, most of you also want to grow up in the corporate ladder. And for that, you need to also understand how other teams next to you, other roles next to you are all performing. Then you start leading teams, you start leading, of course, large organizations, and grow up in your corporate. And that would be my first element of, that I wanted to cover. Moving to the next one. Um, yeah, so this is about learning, right? Learning never ever stops. Yeah, only a learning team, learning individual, learning organization is going to be long term successful. I mean, I don't know how many of you read the technology news on a daily basis. If you read today's news, yeah, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says 40% of human tasks that we do today will be taken over by agentic AI and all forms of AI by 2030. Now, do we have to be scared about it? That might be the first reaction, yeah, because most of what you might be doing today is not relevant anymore in 5 years' time, right? That sounds scary. However, and a technological advancement does not mean less job opportunity. It actually, I mean, in that context, with so much computers all around us, we should actually have much lesser job. No, that's not the case. We all have a lot of course, enriching great job. However, what you might be doing today might be irrelevant in few years time. Yeah. um, Constantly look at upskilling yourself. For example, when I look at my own story, uh, every 3 to 5 years, I mean, maybe some of you might have seen in my LinkedIn profile, also, of course, briefly, Sahej was walking it through. One of the things that I consciously try to do is every 3 to 5 years, take on something different, train myself, and upskill myself so that I'm constantly challenging and moving also to something next. Because again, it's my personal story. If I would continue the same job for quite a long time, I start to feel that, okay, I'm not able to create the value, not for myself, not for the organization. But again, it's my approach. And again, drawing parallel, by no means I'm comparing myself to the great Sachin Tendulkar, but I do want to highlight, because maybe Sachin's story sticks to you all much better than my story. If you look at Sachin Tendulkar, who's my one of the, obviously, I'm a big cricket fan by now, you would have realized this. Somebody whom I always looked up to, not that I know him, but 24 years of intense international cricket, right? At the core, he was always just a batsman. Yeah? So his core competence was clear. However, he had to constantly reinvent himself. Once you expose yourself, you know how good you as a batsman you are. Everybody around starts to figure out, okay, he is good at this, bad at this. How do we get his wicket in the next game? Until and unless he's always 2 steps ahead, thinks what is coming at him, improves his skill, adjusts his techniques, he will basically get out and he will get phased out. So to have a very long run in the corporate world, my dear friends, you need to constantly evolve yourself. You need to constantly learn. All the tools that you might use today are irrelevant in few years. Market demands change, people change. So, you know, but one of the key parameter for this, like it happened with me, is when you start in your corporate world, find your mentor role model very early. Yeah. People whom you trust, people who are going to be your sponsors, talk to them regularly, get a piece of information, advice in terms of how do we navigate, how do we upskill yourself, and they will go a long way in your career journey. Like the way they grew, they would also help you grow, right? So find your mentor. in whichever company, whichever role that you are starting, wherever you're going to start, right? So that's, I think, it worked very, very well with me. I'm hoping that that's something similar to you too. Then the third element is, when you have a long journey, students, you will have to face risks and highs and the lows. If you are expecting a very safe journey of ending up in a corporate job and I'm going to happily work for the next 40 years, this is not going to be the case. Yeah, you have to have a calculated risk that you need to take. And when you take a risk, it's bound to have highs, it's bound to have lows as well. Let's take simple steps that I took as a reference point, right? Already, when I think many of you might have done the similar thing, and you will do also potentially in your future career. For example, when I look back at my career, right? When I finished my 10th grade, already in my 11th and 12th grade, I had to decide whether I want to take computer science or biology. Yeah. Most people take biology and math just to be having the option of both engineering and doctor. But I kind of knew that I don't want to become a doctor. So I decided, even though I had all the marks that I wanted to, decided that I'm going to choose computer science and leave out biology. It's a risk. If you look at my 10th grade, and everybody around me like, Sundar, what are you doing? You don't have anymore the option of becoming a doctor. Well, I had the clarity that biology is not my career. So I had to drop it and then focus just on computer science. And then if I come to my professional corporate career, uh, so I think in 2008, I was a development manager of a large 50-member team in India in SAP. I gave up that role to take on an executive assistant to one of our ex-SAP board members and move to Germany. People were like, again, hey Sundar, you are giving up a managerial role and becoming an individual contributor again, and that to an unknown role of an assistant. Okay, I had to take a calculated risk. Even today, if you look at, after 24 years of being at SAP, I said, there is a certain level of ceiling in my learning. I'm going to reinvent myself and I'm going to change my job, move from SAP to Accenture. By the way, it's of course a product company versus a service company. And I did this in the last 7 months. It's been an exciting journey from a learning point of view, right? I mean, sometimes you are looking back, and in the last 7 months itself, I've had many lows, because many times you really go into discussions and you know that you do not have all the understanding of this business. But that's the challenge as well. You need to learn. So you will have to take calculated risk. You will, with that, have highs and of course also naturally lows, right? My recommendation, friends, is every year ask yourself a question. Did I take a calculated risk this year? And did I learn? Did I succeed? If your answer is no, I neither did this or that, then I think you need to challenge yourself. Yeah. So please constantly ask this question. I mean, this ties back also to reinventing yourself. So you need to constantly ask yourself, am I taking calculated risk, and thereby also giving myself a chance to experience something high, and as part of that also low, right? Good. Then this is, I think you particularly as a student will connect to this topic a lot. A lot of us also, when you start your corporate career, you would have great aspirations to come up with great ideas. Yeah, look, I'm going to innovate. I'm going to bring great ideas to the table. Absolutely fabulous. Do that. However, just creating idea is not good enough. Until and unless an idea starts to be getting executed and really get the job done, it is not good enough. How many of you know of companies largely successful one in the market, are talking just about ideas. You take any company, be it Tesla, Apple, OpenAI, everybody is successful because they had ideas which got converted into great outcomes. So the real idea lives in execution. Yeah, I don't know if any of you remember Barack Obama's quote. He says companies, everybody around are looking for people who are getting things done. So idea generation is very good, but my friends, also focus a lot on getting that executed. I'll tell you my own, little story of my, experience at SAP. Every year, we used to conduct something called as hackathon. Yeah, I think every corporate conducts. Yeah, so what is hackathon? Of course, we invite great minds, give them a problem statement, or they come up with their own problem statement and come up with great ideas and also how to solve them in a dirty way given a time slot of 2 or 3 days. So they work day in and day out, come up with super great ideas. We select the top three winners and say, great job, and these top three winners are highly recognized. Okay, very good. It used to happen once or twice. I participated and I think I won once the second or third place. Very good. However, after that, the immediate question will be, okay, what next? What is the outcome of making an idea into a small prototype but not really taking it to the real customer who's going to use it? So we thought a lot about it and then tweaked the hackathon in a way that we are going to look at ideas. The top three ideas will be part of the solution in the product portfolio itself. So we had to redefine so that it gave a meaningful outcome to all the great ideas into also something that is put into the solution that the customers and clients can use. So when you enter corporate, build great ideas, but of course don't stop there. Focus and push also your organization to be delivering and executing it, and that's what will differentiate you two in your respective organizations. Good. The This is my personal favorite. Yeah. Um, I think students, you might have seen the group of birds like this, the flock of birds flying up in the sky. Have you ever wondered uh, about them and the formation in which they are flying? I want to share some details about why they fly the way they fly. So, by the way, if you see, these are the goose or geese birds. They fly in the formation of a V shaped. I mean, you can look up the sky sometimes, and you might see these birds flying around, and they fly in this V formation, not just for fun, yeah, and they really are able to get 70% extra mileage when they fly in this formation, which means if they fly alone, they travel 70% less. So they do not fall out of the formation. They constantly, a group of birds form a V shape and then fly. Gives one, first of all, extra mileage, as I said, 70%. They keep rotating the leader. Not every, the same bird is at the front, because the bird at the front takes the hit of the air pressure. So they keep rotating the leader. They keep honking, which means they keep this appreciation sound. So they celebrate each other's success. They help each other when in need. And the very interesting part is, if one bird falls sick in this group, they don't let that bird alone. One more bird joins it, lets it die peacefully in the ground, and then the other bird flies back and joins the other group. So they don't give up on each other that easily, right? Now this tells a lot of interesting facts and stories of what we as individual people can do. If we believe we will join a corporate and we alone will be successful, sorry, we are up for an absolutely wrong assumption. We will be successful only when we work as a team. So building and becoming a great team player is extremely critical. Again, my own story. When I became, way back in my career, first time as a lead, when you become a project lead, which you will also face in your career soon. You are not just individual contributor. You are supposed to work with 5 people, 10 people, and get the job done collectively. Yeah, I was just coming in and bossing around, saying, "Look, hey, this is how it should be done. Give me this report. Give me that status." And then very soon, I realized that this is not taking me anywhere. People were not happy. People were revolting because I was not making them successful in the way I was approaching. This. I had to learn this quickly and said, let me learn how to be a trusted, meaningful team player so that everybody comes along with me, right? And then I started developing the habit very consciously about how do I build everybody's success around me, not just my own success. My ex CEO, used to tell this quote, and I really love it. He said, "Trust is built drop by drop, but lost in buckets." Yeah, so you tend to spend a lot of time building the trust with people, but then if you do one thing wrong, everything is lost. So you keep that in mind. Every day you turn up, be a team player, make sure that you have a trusted environment, you are making others around you successful. It may sound like in short term somebody else is faster successful than you, but don't get blinded by that. You need to always keep the long term picture in mind, because any role where you need to go long, you need people around you to be celebrating you as a person to work with. Yeah, so that's my personal favorite. And then I move to the next one. um, I think I briefly touched upon highs and lows already before. uh, I want to extend that. Yeah, find your passionate hobby. And this can be very different to each one of you. The reason I say this is it will act as your stress buster. I'll tell you my story again. When I became assistant to one of the board members, I had to work for about 16 hours to 18 hours a day, every day. I would come into office at 5 in the morning, leave by 9, 10 in the night. Sometimes also weekend. In Germany, that's normally not the case, but sometimes it happens. You and not just the workload; it's also the intense amount of pressure, and So I had to find a way. How am I going to manage myself? Yeah, so this is not sustainable. I cannot do day in and day out 16, 18 hours of work and then have a full recovery. Then that's when I discovered that I'm really passionate about running. Yeah, I was always very fond of sports. I mean, like most of us do in India, I played a lot of cricket, badminton, but long distance running is something that I figured out in this process. Meanwhile, it started in a small way of long distance running. My friends, I have, not to boast myself, but I have finished 51 half marathons. Half marathon is about 21.1 kilometers. So far, I've done 51. I think I have a long way in 50 more at least to go. I'll keep running. What has happened meanwhile is it has naturally, every time I have some thing coming up, I will go for a run. Anything that I feel like I'm stressed a bit, I will go for a run. And obviously, it has also huge health benefits, right? And now your passion can be very different. It could be you're playing a piano or whatever, right? But all my very strong recommendation is that find your hobby that will act as your stress buster. Then my last piece before we go to the questions, um, connecting to the long run, right? Most of you may not be able to right now connect because you're all very energetic and passionate to come get into the corporate, start your entrepreneurship, and then get going. However, you will start to recognize that somewhere you need to find your balance. What do I mean by balance? Um, and by the way, the balance can be very different to each one of you. So there is nothing like a global balance. Everyone has different way to balance it. You will have your own health, which is, in my opinion, the number one priority. Number two priority, in my opinion, is your family and friends. And number three is career. I'm telling you very consciously, explicitly, number three is career, because, in simple terms, if you're not healthy, if you don't have a system of family and friends around you who is always there for you, you cannot build a great career. Most often, we end up doing the mistake of other way around. Again, this is you. It will come with learning. I'm not saying you will recognize and appreciate straight away, but you will need your health, so invest. And it's like a financial investment. Yeah, so start early. Then, and by the way, I don't have to tell you this, the current 50 is the new 30. Our lifespan is 80 plus. You need to have a very healthy lifestyle so that you are happy all through your life. And you need your family and friends, and career will automatically fall in place. And by the way, as I said, this is the balance can be very different from one to the other, which means, for example, our PM Modi could work 24 bar 7 for the last 11 years and be absolutely energetic. Or you have a Sundar who needs a weekend to recover, and then spend the time with my daughters, and with my family and wife, to find a balance. And I have my own aspirations of where my balance needs to be, right? So you will figure it out. Nobody else can tell you. It's the journey that you have to go through. You have to figure out. But keep this in mind, that you need to eventually find your balance. So with that, Sahaj, back to you if you have any questions from the audience.
Yes, sir, there were a few questions from the audience. So, first was basic roadmap if you want to upskill your skills if you're starting from a scratch as a college student. Like if you want to enter in the market corporate life and you want to upskill your skills and you want to start from scratch only. So, what will be the roadmap or the mindset that is needed for that?
So, first of all, thank you for the question, Sahaj. To answer, first of all, you will not start from scratch. So, the reason I say this is, you have reached NIT Jalandhar. You have acquired skill either through BTech, MTech, or of course PhD. You have skilled up yourself to the requirements of an entry level, or of course, if you're a PhD at a little senior level, into the corporate world, depending on the job that you're taking up. So you don't necessarily start scratch, right? What is important though is to have a very open-mindedness, saying that I am going to constantly look at what is happening around me, and thereby I will constantly learn. So this can be very different from the job that we take up. So in today's world in technology, I would say quickly start to learn agentic AI and the AI tools and technology that's coming up. But in some other field like mechanical, it will be a little different. I may not have the expertise, but fundamentally, you are not starting from scratch. You have it, and when you enter a corporate, the corporate understands your profile and thereby selects you for a specific skill that you are bringing already. Yeah. However, when you start the job, you need to understand that the world around you is changing very rapidly. The skill that you have acquired through college education may be good enough to start your job and career, might be not good enough in 2 years' time after you start.
Sir, next question is thank you for the answer for that question, sir. Next question is just like this only. What skills should a non-CSE student like me focus on to stay relevant in the changing job market? Someone
Non-CSE student.
non-CSE background, yes.
Well, I mean, so is a non-CSE student coming to computer science or technology work? That's
Yes,
how I would interpret that question.
he is student in the college only, and he wants to step into the CSE market. So yeah.
That's what. So basically, as a non-CSE educational background, wants to come into the software development field, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so the good news, that has not thankfully dramatically changed, right? Um, to enter a services or a software development industry, computer science graduation is good, but it's not mandatory. Yeah, so in most cases, as you will recognize from your placement that's ongoing, a lot of IT companies are able to absorb people also from diverse background, right? And the if you end up already very early in your early fourth year, final year, or of course, MTech, you end up in a with an IT job, and that's what you want to do. See, the important fundamental question you need to ask is that what you want to do, right? So, assuming you end up in such a job opportunity pretty early in your career, you need to do some research in terms of, okay, this is the company that I'm getting into, this is the kind of job profile that I do, what kind of skills that I need to acquire. It could be a Java developer, it could be, of course, AI developer. So, you need to recognize what is the skill that is expected in the job, and then you obviously start to work on it before you really join, right? The good news is, as I said, when you have finished or in the process of finishing your engineering, you have the fundamentals of what it takes to be good at also the IT industry. Yeah. So you need to have, of course, certain inclination towards programming, and what technology that you actually acquire, that depends on, of course, the job opportunity that is in front of you.
Thank you for the answer. So the next question is regarding the second slide, that was risk. So the question is, what factors did you consider before deciding whether a risk is worth taking or not? You said that you switched from SAP to Accenture, and in your mind there was some risks, and you calculated that risk. So according to you, what calculations did you do to take that risk?
Very, very good question. Thank you for asking this. Yeah. And I think the most and very critical piece of the puzzle is a self introspection in terms of what you really have internally in your mind, right? Let's take example of my switch from SAP to Accenture. So what is that? Before I decided to make a change, it has to be an inside out process. So what is that I was thinking through? I was having a phase in my career at SAP after 20 odd years. I started recognizing my learning curve is not steep. My learning curve has kind of got stagnated a bit. And after 20 plus years in one company, it is quite natural that you have seen in the space that you are in, that is software development, you have seen the depth and breadth of the company to the extent that you can actually see. Yeah. Then you start to probe what will make you feel excited about the new learning curve. Can SAP offer something like this? You talk to your network, you have your mentors, you have your coaches, and then you recognize, I think with all this data, it seems like to challenge myself and feel that I have to re energize and learn something new, I have looked at all options within SAP. Maybe it's time for me to change. And that's an inside out process. Once you come to that conclusion, which is a risk again, because 20 plus years of career in one company and then switching in the second half of 40 would mean that you are taking that leap of faith saying, look, how am I going to build my career again in a new company? But that's again an inside out process. Once you come to that, then you need to recognize what are you good at, what kind of companies are you looking at, what are you going to get the learning that you are looking for in the new company. And for me, the natural inclination was, okay, I have seen software development from SAP side. I want to see the software delivery and implementation from a partner side. So what does Accenture do? Accenture takes SAP products and solutions and implements it for customers. So I wanted to see how that side of the world looks like. So there was a learning curve which I achieved, but at the end, it is always for any of us an inside out process. Don't get ever carried away by what are people around me doing. Very classic mistake all of us do, right? I become engineer because people around me are becoming engineers, right? I go to IT because people around me are getting into IT, and that's the only job that pays me decent. I know it's hard. I know I can easily say this after 25 years, but you will learn that it has to be a inside out process of what a self reflection should lead to what risk that I take.
Thank you, sir. So there is the leading question to this question. The work culture difference you see in SAP and in Accenture.
um, so, to specifically answer, there is not a big change of work culture, because in SAP, while I was with SAP for 24 years, significant portion was in Germany because the culture is also shaped by the region that you're part of, right? So I'm sitting in Germany, and also in Accenture, I am part of the region which is Austria, Switzerland, Germany. There, the overarching country culture influences to some extent also how the company operates. So that way, personally for me, there is no big culture difference. But to answer this question at a elevated level, Sahaj, um, you will experience different company cultures when you change jobs. Yeah, may I may be a little lucky. I also did the groundwork to understand this before I took up the job. Particularly after so many years, it's hard to change the culture that you have built to suddenly a new company. You need to make a conscious effort to understand this before you switch.
Thank you, sir. That was a very wonderful answer. So the next question is on the slide that you showed on leadership. So there is a very wonderful question. Do you think
Sorry,
leadership
sorry.
on
Which
leadership,
on leadership?
yes. Do you think leadership or collaboration is more important in a team? Well, leadership versus collaboration. Is leadership or collaboration more important in a team versus?
Um, it's I stick to my very simple being a cricket fan cricket example, right? You look at a team which is doing very well. Is there only leadership or collaboration more important? No. Yeah. All of us need to be really good at our skill. Very fundamental. And that's why I started with build your root, build your in depth knowledge. In cricket team, we all need to know very clearly that I am very good at being a batsman or a bowler. However, to create a collective outcome, you will need to be building a great team because Tilak Verma alone, maybe yes, he did great on that day, but was supported by Sanju Samson, by supported by who was the other one who came? Yeah, so everybody supported, and of course Kuldeep Yadav took 4 wickets. So you cannot, while some name might show up, which is fine, it's a team sport. Collective outcome needs great collaboration, great teams, and then obviously a great leadership as well, right? Because you may have individual skill, but if the leader is useless, then obviously you also don't see outcome. So I can't really say leadership is more important. I think depending on what individual role you're playing, it has to be a combination of everything. But first and foremost is having the right skill.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is regarding your hobby. As you told us that you love playing cricket. So after work, most people just unwind or rest. How do you make time for your hobbies and do they help you recharge?
Great question, and it's very, very close to my heart. Um, See, that's why I explicitly called out as a very passionate hobby. Yeah. It's not with any how shall I articulate this? If you have passion and hunger, you will always find time. There is no two ways about it. Yeah. For me, luckily, my current big time passion, as I also said, is running. Yeah. For running, I don't need to plan too much. I just need my pair of running shoes, and I can step out early morning, late evening. But I run 3 times or 4 times a week. So I may not do it daily. That's also not needed. But I run 3 to 4 times a week, and I always find time. My wife says you better go to run so that you're in a good mood. So I always find time because that is very passionate to me, and hence all of you, I would highly recommend find the passionate hobby that is going to take your mind away from your daily work. It is about recharging. Yeah, you sometimes you take long vacation. Sometimes you don't have to always take a long vacation to recharge. You have to find your small little things, And I have, again from my SAP side, we have a board member who has the habit of running every day. Board member running every day. I'm wondering how does he find time? But yeah, he does find time. He's running every day for the last 2 years straight. So choose a passionate hobby, you will find time.
Thank you, sir. So there's a very fun question. Were there any moments in your early career that taught you important lessons? Like early, like when you just joined as a fresher.
Yeah, lot of them.
Any significant lesson that changed you for life?
Changed me for life. Yeah, I mean, this again happened in my very early part of my career, but did not happen in the um, office. It happened more in my private context, but then it shaped me a lot in terms of my personality. It's a long story, but let me keep it very short. I was traveling once from Mumbai to Bangalore by train. Yeah? This was after meeting my close friend, also happens to be my batchmate from RAC. Um, and then he said bye to me in the train, and then I boarded the train, and the train started moving from Mumbai, the other station. Only after a few kilometers, I realized that I have a ticket which is actually for next day and not for that day, and I didn't have money either. Yeah, and the ticket checker came and asked me, "Where is your ticket?" I said, "Sorry, I have the ticket for the next day." And he was like, "Okay, then you buy a new ticket for today." I don't have money either. If I get down from whichever station, then I cannot reach Bangalore on time, and I have to fly for my business trip. And the whole conversation was observed by a co-passenger. Out of full trust, he came forward and said, "Sundar, I give you the money, whatever it is for buying the ticket, and you give me the money when you reach Bangalore." I was like so thankful, grateful. I took the money, bought the ticket, traveled to Bangalore. Of course, promptly went to the ATM, took money, and gave it to him. And I asked him, "Sir, what made you give me the money? Because I'm a stranger to you." His answer stuck to me, and I think that also shaped a lot in my life. He said, "Sundar, look, the ticket costed about, I think then for an AC ticket, it was 800 rupees or something like that." So he said the ticket costed 800 rupees. Yeah. So what would have happened? You would have either ran away, then I would have lost 800 rupees. But in the other terms, I have made a friend for life. So the element of trust was so strong, and in most cases, when you trust people, you always benefit from it. So just a short story. Yeah, I mean there are many, but I don't want, of course, take all the time.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is regarding remote working. As we have seen after COVID, many offices switched to remote working or hybrid system. So one person asked, how can we be more proactive in this remote culture where connection is dependent on a single message ping?
Yeah. So this remote working topic is a big topic in most of the corporates. Yeah. Be it in SAP where I was part of, now in Accenture. I'll start very briefly an overarching theme that we are struggling with, and then come to this question specifically and try to answer. Um, Remote working has its clear advantages and also disadvantages. Yeah. Advantages, of course, it gives you all the flexibility. People can do very easily get up and get into their laptop and then start to work and finish their work whenever they want. In some cases, it also improves the productivity of the team. Yeah, because people are don't have to travel 1.5 hours to their office or whatever and spend more meaningful time at home and also get things done. However, many of us in corporate, we struggle with few elements. We cannot anymore build the culture and the value that we think we have to. It's like, what is NIT Jalandhar, because we're all part of the college. There is certain element that binds you together. You're all coming to college. You're seeing each other. Yeah. Even today, I feel very strongly connected whenever I hear the name, because I know how much I'm connected to it. You understand the culture, you get the pulse of what's going on, and you feel better bonded. And particularly, you all, when you start your corporate life, you will need guidance, you need support, you need to be coached, mentored. That happens best when you come and meet people in person. These are some disadvantages. I mean, आज के ज़माने में तो you can sit at home, whether SAP pays you or Accenture pays you doesn't make a difference, because you're producing outcome and then paycheck आ रहा है. See, that's not the way you want to operate, right? You want to understand the value, why you're doing what you're doing. Now, to answer this question, it is just a ping away, collaboration and so that you look at it as an advantage that people can reach you. But on the other hand, I think you need to build certain discipline, because people are also ending up having 24/7 available, right? They can be reached anytime, they can work anytime. In a time pressure, something to be delivered, all good. But if that is a habit, which unfortunately has also been the case, where there is no difference between when am I working, when am I in my private life, because it's all merged more or less. The shades have gone. So it's a little hard, but that's a reality. We need to figure constantly and evolve. I mean, the new world is hybrid. There is no other shortcut here.
Thank you, sir. So, as you know, it's been 25 years since you graduated from this our college. So, there's a very wonderful question from one student. How has your field or industry changed since you graduated?
Dramatically, dramatically. To start as a joke, when we had this technical issue, Sahaj, at the beginning, I just went back to my college time and I was starting to think, as I said, I'm from 96 2000. So I passed out in 2000. I think if I remember, 98 is when our computer lab in REC or NIT Jalandhar first got internet. Yeah. And we as friends were going crazy about internet. We would early morning, जैसे lab खुलेगा सब पहुंच जाएंगे, and we will have 3 people, 4 people sitting in one computer. Okay, and a desk laptop तो नहीं था ना, so basically you had a computer, and then the only thing all of us did was create an email account. Okay, and I think that time it was Mail City, and either use Internet Explorer or there was one more tool, like a browser, I forgot the name. वो घूमता रहेगा. You click on mailcity.com, उसको 10 मिनट लगेंगे login page खुलने में, right? So now, jokes apart, today Nobody has patience to click on something and wait for few seconds. Forget about 10 minutes. The world is going at an extremely fast pace. Of course, thanks to all the technology advancement. So the way we think about the solutions or products or software has changed dramatically. We don't talk about any more on-premise solutions. We talk about, of course, cloud solutions, and of course, with all the advanced technology, right? I'm of course coming from a business application side, right? So the way you look at software, the way the the tools that you use, everything has changed. Everything is in mobile. That when we had first applications, I mean, we didn't even have a laptop. Now to har cheez mobile mein kaam karta hai na, even business applications. So, and people don't have patience, so you need to build software solutions which are catering to the way the people are thinking and evolving. And the we struggle with one aspect. For example, current generation, that is all of you guys who are coming out, you all have instant access to everything. Yeah, and mostly you're using WhatsApps of the world, right? So the everything is like instant. But the business applications like SAP have a legacy of 40-50 years. They are not as fast and as simple as your current consumption expectations are. Most of the corporate are struggling to keep up and even attract talent, because sometimes you come in and say, hey, this is outdated solution, I don't want to work, this is legacy, right? So there is a dramatic improvement change for good, but at the same time some of the corporates are struggling to keep up with the expectation. So it's I mean, no words can describe how dramatic the things have changed.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is regarding your college life or friends. Do you have time, or how do you manage your time to meet your friends or reconnect with your friends?
um, so
Because as
the
you said,
thing,
you kept working for 17 hours a day. So I think it might be very difficult for you to reconnect with them. So how do
yeah,
you
yeah,
take out the time?
yeah. So see, the thing is, you again, different personalities deal with it very differently, right? Um, One thing is for fact: school time and college time, the friendship that you build is very unique and extremely valuable compared to the friendship that you will and may build during your corporate life. Right? You will recognize this. Most of you, when you enter corporate, you're all busy in your world, and there is certain materialistic connection to your relationship in some ways. I'm not saying it always, but till the point you're in school and college, you have really close, open friendship without a reason of okay, मुझसे इससे बात करवा तो ये हो जाएगा, उससे बात करवा तो ये हो जाएगा. So you really have very open friendship, right? So first and foremost thought that comes to my mind is cherish all the relationship that you are building now and you built already in the school. Corporate life will be a little different. You will make friends. It may be a little different to what you have made so far. It is clearly an effort and prioritization that you need to make. You cannot keep close friendship with many people that you might have kept. हमारा सिल्वर जुबली सेलिब्रेशन होने वाला है अभी दिसंबर में, as you know, Sahaj. Many friends I'm meeting after 25 years. Right? Life happens. You get floated to wherever you end up being. Right? However, college time say you, I mean, again, you will create a group of maybe 10-15 friends with whom you are somehow constantly in touch. And उसमें 3-4 लोग तो होंगे जिनसे you can talk every weekend, or your 3 a.m. friend, you can call and my friends, again, I think the previous speaker was Ajit. from our alumnus. I mean, we
Yes.
are extremely close. Uh, Somehow we kept it. Yeah. In but fundamentally, there has to be some prioritization and effort. It doesn't just happen. Yeah. So, and by the way, nothing in life just happens. Yeah. So you need to take some effort and keep it.
So now we will divert to some very technical questions. You will
Okay.
like them, I guess. So, do you think we will ever reach at saturation in tech market due to influx of CSE or IT students in our country? And it is just supply demand which is leading to high packages.
Very good question. I don't see that happening in the near future. For the next 5-10 years, particularly for the reasons जैसे अभी I mean as simple as Trump has made H1B so expensive, there will be more outsourcing. There will be more jobs coming to countries like India. Yeah, and I don't expect in the next 5-10 years even that the job demand goes down dramatically. Having said this, what is important, students, is the job that you know of in the last 5 years may not be the job that you will do in the next 5 years. The kind of job that you will be expected to do is very different because at the end, many tasks that developers, engineers are doing, even programming purely per se, is getting taken away by AI. So does it mean that there won't be jobs? No, there will be increased number of jobs. There will be more outsourcing of jobs that are being done in um, more expensive countries. So it will not go down. I don't expect that to happen in the next 5-10 years. But there will be consolidation. Some companies may, for example, Accenture announced that we are laying off 11,000 people. Um, but that's more to do with enabling AI.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is regarding the technical and soft skills. Should we focus that have relevances in next 10 years? It's just the leading question to this question only. That as a fresher or just graduate, what are the technical or and the soft skills that are required that will be relevant in next 10 years?
So if you learn something today, particularly from the technology stack point of view, I am very sure in 5 years' time it's not relevant. Yeah. So I cannot pinpoint at any technology that you can learn today that is going to stay relevant and give you, enough exciting work in the next 5-10 years. It doesn't mean that it will not stay at all. I mean, I'm talking about the large population, right? Even today, there are mainframe projects. Mainframe was so-called outdated when I entered the market, but even after 25 saal ke baad, I still know IBM mainframe projects that's happening. So it might be there, but I cannot talk about a specific technology that you need to learn today that will keep you relevant in 10 years time, right? So from a tech stack point of view, I would only recommend look at currently relevant technology for the kind of job profile that you are going to take or you want to take and enable yourself, grow into that with a very open mind कि मैं 5 साल में this will not be outdated. I have to learn something new, right? But the fundamentals of programming, fundamentals of what it means to be in software industry, product development will not change. So you need to keep your fundamentals grounded. I have a clear understanding. The technology stack might change. Coming to soft skill, I think if I can just tell one most important soft skill is to be a team player. That will not get outdated. You will be relevant and you'll be really celebrated. Your career will. It might sound again look in short term you're not growing, but in long term it goes a long way in your growth if you're a team player.
Thank you, sir. So, as we all know that 2 decades have passed, you are living in Germany. So, as an Indian, what are the cultural differences you see in Germany? The positives and the negatives of that.
Um, it might sound like I'm giving yarn, but one thing you learn after living in a foreign country, in a different culture, is cultures cannot be right or wrong. Yeah, so yeah, it is the way it is, right? I mean, India has evolved into what it is today for different historical reasons. Similarly, Germany has evolved into a different society and culture for different reasons. Yeah, so Germany is extremely organized, structured. Everything is as per the plan. India, of course, has a different model of operation, right? But if I can highlight few things that were very interesting for me to learn and adapt myself, yeah, is when I came to Germany. For them, there is nothing like compromise. So they think more yes or no. There is no middle path. See, in India, it's a shades of gray. There's nothing like black or white. Everything is not black or white. Here, it's more yes or no. Yeah, and for example, very very early again, I was having a lunch appointment with some colleagues in the office. And I think I was a couple of minutes late because of my previous meeting. So I called up the colleague and said, "Hey, sorry, I'm late. Can I come and join the table?" And the response was instantly, "Sorry, the table is full. You cannot come." So India, you cannot think. You will be like, "Yeah, aajao yaar. We will find a place." Batte. They were like, "No, uh, not and nothing personal. Yeah, nothing about he's late. Usko allow नहीं करेंगे. बस ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. They simply were sitting at a table where there was no more place. They said, "No, this is not possible." Yeah. When and in the job, we Indians have the tendency. Okay, मैं कुछ काम कर रहा हूँ. The moment I'm stuck with something, I immediately look left, right, talk to my friends and colleagues and say, "Hey, ये help कर दे यार, ये करना है, वो करना है." And then people are coming in and help you. I did the same approach when I came here, and when I was stuck, I would look at my colleague and say, "Can you please help?" And the response will be, "Did you read the documentation?" Right? So it's like, huh? You don't want to help me, but again, nothing personal, right? So culturally, it is more structured, yes, no, straightforward. This is how it is. And we Indians are a little different. Of course, अभी मैं मेरा 17-18 साल हो गया, so obviously I'm adapted more here. Now, funnily, when I go to India, my office, and I'm on time for the meeting, people are like, "Oh, you to German बन गया?" Well, yeah, being on time doesn't make me German, right? So, um, but the reverse adaptation happens, and then, as I said, there is nothing right wrong. We have all evolved for different contexts and reasons.
Thank you, sir. So, the last question that is from my side. So, it's a very situational question. Imagine you have a time machine and you got a chance to get into the college again as a fresher. So, what would be the things you will do again as a fresher, or you wanted to do things at that time and you never got the chance to do that in your college life?
You're now making me really walk down my memory lane, right? Um, See, I'm a big fan and lover of my college. Yeah, I would do everything I did, and those are very simple things. मैं बीबीपुर जाके चाय पीऊंगा रात को 2 बजे. I will basically walk in front of girls' hostel, hoping that some girls will look at me, right? um, for semester exams, I don't know how things are. Many of the boys like me never bought books. We would go to DS departmental store and दो दिन के लिए we will rent the book and give it back so that we can save money. और girls hostel जाके we will get the books. पैसा तो होता ही नहीं था किसी के पास. But we were so happy. We were absolutely happy. We would be like kings of life, but bank account में कुछ नहीं है, right? So I think I would do pretty much everything that I did. Nothing different. I think, but wish I get that opportunity. I don't think that's going to come. But wish I have the time machine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for answering all of the questions. So that will be from my side. To end the meeting, Vani Jan will continue, and I am going, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So before you leave, my last comment to all of you is thank you for listening. If I have to leave you with one thought, you basically have to be the best version of your own self. Yeah. Everything set aside, be the best version of yourself, and all the best for your respective careers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful insights. I hope our audience learned a lot from this session. We really enjoyed the session. Before we conclude this memorable gathering, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Chairman of Alumni Affairs, Dr. Jatinder Kumaratan. We are deeply grateful for your vision and tireless efforts for making this alumni meet a reality. This is because of your dedication that the bond between our alumni and alma mater continues to grow stronger. Your leadership plays a vital role in creating an environment where both students and alumni feel truly connected and valued. And most importantly, to our beloved alumni, Mr. Sundar, thank you for coming back to your second home. Your presence here today not only makes this gathering meaningful, but also reminds us that the journey from these classrooms to the world is full of endless possibilities. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I, Vanijan, extend our deepest gratitude to each one of you for gracing this occasion and making it truly special. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, and special thanks also to, of course, my friend and Dr. Saab.
Thank you very much, Sundar, and I appreciate your commitment towards your alma mater, and I take pride in sharing that I have shared this campus with you in those days of 1996 and 2000. And we all look forward to see you at the campus in December. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
We all will be waiting for you
Oh, it will be my pleasure.
for the
I
start.
also look forward to meet, if not all of you, at least most of you who might be there on 22nd December in the college. That will
Yes,
be
sir.
exciting. I mean, I'm coming to college, I think, after 2001 में एक बार आया था मैं, so it's been 24 years. So I'm really looking forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Sundar.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody for listening. Take care.
It's
Have a
a
great
nice
career.
talking to you, sir.
Okay, this session ends here. So, Prakash, you can just stop the live streaming. Thank you, Sundar.
Okay.